Come, they told me, pa-rum-pa-pum-pum, a newborn king to see, pa-rum-pa-pum-pum. Our finest gifts we bring, pa-rum-pa-pum-pum, to lay before the king, pa-rum-pa-pum-pum, pum-pa-pum-pum, pum-pa-pum-pum. So to honor him, pa-rum-pa-pum-pum, when we come. So I have the fondest memories of my grandmother holding me in her lap and sitting on the rocking chair and rocking me back and forth as she sang this little drummer boy song. Now, it was a tradition that my grandparents both came down from New Jersey, down to Maryland, and they spent the Christmas days with us, Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. And they would sleep on our little pull-out sofa couch in the living room. And I remember snuggling up in bed with my grandmother, and just such wonderful, wonderful memories as a child, coming down Christmas morning and seeing a living room full of gifts and stockings that are stuffed full of goodies, and eating wonderful food and hanging out with our family. And it just truly, genuinely became such a magical, magical day. And one thing that really started to bother me as a kid was when people would ask me, what is your most favorite thing about Christmas? And a deep part of me wanted to say, well, obviously it's celebrating the birth of Jesus. But a very selfish and fleshly part of me genuinely was just super excited about tons of Christmas gifts and good food. And it made me feel really bad. It made me feel like maybe my priorities were not right. And I felt the same way about Easter. I would get asked the same thing, what is the most exciting thing about Easter? Everybody always asks you as a kid. It's not like I was only asked that once or twice. And again, I remember saying, oh my gosh, I'm excited. I'm so thankful that Jesus died on the cross, but I'm also really, really excited about the Easter bunny and candy and food and hanging out. And so that carried over. It left an impression on me as an adult. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit more today about my journey and celebrating holidays, and I guess kind of this path that God has taken me on as an adult. So this week, as I am getting back into a routine, kind of into the swing of things, I'm taking you along with me. It's pretty much the same old stuff. We're doing chores, we're doing work in the kitchen. I'm also starting to get some of my house cleaned and reclaim the messiness. I have been extremely anxious as I am sitting there with my sweet little nursing baby, and I'm looking around the house and slowly watching it deteriorate. Actually, it's not really slowly deteriorating. It's quickly deteriorating. And so I finally am kind of getting into a little bit of a pattern where I am able to lay Theodore down for a nap, and he's taking the morning nap, and then he'll be up for a little while, and then he'll take the afternoon nap. Now, this has really only conspired in the past couple days, because up until now, he has only been napping while I wear him, which I love baby wearing. I absolutely love baby wearing. Let me just make that very clear. However, I was milking one time in particular, and the cow lifted her leg up. She didn't kick me, but she bumped the baby's butt with her ankle. And I thought, ooh, how bad that could be. So I don't milk my cow with babies anymore. They sit in a stroller right next to me, like away from the animals, so nothing happens. So anyway, so I don't like to do chores with babies. Plus, it's getting cold now, and sure, yeah, I have lots of things to bundle the babies up in. However, it's just not ideal. Like I don't really want to be bringing the baby out with me in the cold to do chores. If I want to go on walks, sure, then I can kind of come and go as I please. But to do chores where I have to get stuff done, I'd much rather just leave the baby inside napping with one of the other kids and know that he's warm and everything's fine. I'll go crank out my chores real fast and then come back in if I need to. So I'm doing some chores today while wearing him, but they're not dangerous. And this was before he was giving me his consistent naps. So now things have kind of smoothed out a little bit. So I am doing that and just trying. He's 7 weeks now. So he's kind of getting into that, like, all right, what kind of system are we getting into? What kind of routine are we getting into? I'm starting to kind of get some things done and get back to, I guess you would call it normal. I don't know. But at any point in time, the baby can wake up and need me to nurse him, and I have to stop what I'm doing and be able to be at his beck and call. So, which is totally fine, but it's just, adjusting my schedule. So anyway, so today we are getting some things done around the house, getting into a little bit of a routine, reclaiming back a little bit of my normalcy, cleaning up some of my house, because I am super excited. I will be sharing with you next time some winter decorations that I am getting out and decorating my historic home with. It's so beautiful. So I wanted to take you on a little bit of my journey to celebrating Christmas, celebrating the holidays like Easter. I guess those are kind of the two big ones, Christmas and Easter. So I was really convicted as an adult on, how do I celebrate the holidays? How do I teach my children to celebrate the holidays so that they don't become overwhelmed with this worldly idea of what these holidays should be. And I want them to remember the reason why we're celebrating these holidays. I went through a season probably about 10 years ago where I was really just pouring into the Lord. I just felt like I was in a place where I was going through a lot of spiritual growth, and I asked the Lord to please just search my heart and bring to light anything that I need purging. Help me to step away from the world and to really just rest in Him. And so He took me on this journey of purging. And essentially, I purged my home and my life of as many worldly things as I could. Things from sports, like football, basketball. I mean, we were never really big into sports, but we were starting to kind of get into that, weekly football game, parties, kind of that sort of thing. And He really brought to my attention just that should not be a priority, that it is just purely a distraction. Anyway, so He took me through different sports and entertainment, music, movies, even clothing, and just roots to, this is getting really deep, but roots to like patterns, different symbols. That is such a deep, deep path to go down, and I went down it. He also took me to look further into how we celebrate holidays and why we celebrate the holidays. And there's so much debate among whether or not Christians should be celebrating Christmas and Easter, or if they should or shouldn't, and the pagan roots. I don't really truly care necessarily about that. I did go down that path, and I did see and hear all the research that was done, to prove why these holidays shouldn't be celebrated by Christians, and then why they should be celebrated by Christians. I'm not really here to debate that. I'm just here to bring to light the fact that God can take us all on different journeys according to what our hearts and our souls individually need. So the first year that He brought to my attention that I needed to purge Christmas and Easter, and I'm particularly going to talk about Christmas today just because we're, close to the holidays. He brought that to my attention, and I truly, genuinely felt in my heart like, this is not something that I want to participate in. There has got to be a separation between Santa Claus and, all the holiday festivities and the overconsumption, over purchasing. Just, it just becomes so much, and it takes away from what we are actually supposed to be celebrating, which we are supposed to be celebrating the birth of Christ. Now, I understand people that do not believe in Jesus, they may celebrate Christmas solely just because of the holiday spirit and Santa Claus and all that stuff. Whatever, that's fine. Jews, I know, this time of year celebrate Hanukkah, which has nothing to do with Jesus's birth or Santa Claus. Hanukkah actually is a really interesting day to celebrate because it speaks of God's power. Anyway, so I just felt like I was going through the purging process and just splitting Jesus from Santa. And so I did that, and we went on this journey of like not doing really gifts, not doing gifts for other people, which, let me tell you, as a newly married couple back, almost 20 years ago, giving gifts to all of our friends in a way out of obligation because you knew that they were going to be giving you gifts, that became such a financial burden for us as newly married couple, trying to just make ends meet, trying to afford our first house. I mean, that's a whole nother topic I can go into. But I just became so kind of just turned off by the whole idea of this hustle bustle Christmas, blah. So that was kind of the first year. We took a major step back from purchasing gifts. We did make some cookies. Like, we were trying to not be weird about it, trying to not offend people, but yet also trying to honor God in this. So we went through a whole season. I mean, it's been, like I said, about 10 years since we stopped celebrating Christmas. And slowly each year, God has been allowing me to bring a little bit more back into this whole season. Do I think there's anything wrong with celebrating Jesus's birth? Absolutely not. Do I think there's anything wrong with having a Christmas tree in the house? At the time that I was going through the purging, yes, I did feel uncomfortable with the Christmas tree in the house because I did go through like the pagan origins of all of these different things, the white and red candy canes and Krampus and all that stuff. Every single thing about Christmas, the Christmas wreath, everything about Christmas can be associated with something pagan. And so he took me through that, to that pendulum, that side, that swing. And he's slowly bringing me back. I'm just going to tell you right now, Satan does not have the evergreen tree. Satan does not claim rights to a red and white candy cane. He does not claim rights to an evergreen wreath. Like, these are just certain things that just because it's been associated with something evil does not mean that God doesn't have rights to all this. Like, this is still God's creation. So I went the whole one side. I didn't celebrate. I didn't decorate. We didn't decorate anything because I was just fearful that, I don't know if I was fearful. I was just concerned. I wanted to honor God. That ultimately was my goal. I wanted to honor God. And how could I honor God if I was bringing pagan things into my house? And so this year I am decorating. This is actually the first year that I really went out and fully decorated my house. I do not have Santa Claus in my house. I don't have things that that would be taking away from Christ's birth, but I am decorating with evergreens and with candles and with fruits. I'm decorating for winter. Okay. We do have a Christmas tree. It's an artificial one. Wah, I know. I just put some evergreen, essential oils in the diffuser and it makes it all better. I don't have to clean up pine needles. I did bring a Christmas tree in because God knows my heart. He saw that I was willing to get rid of everything. And now I'm bringing it back with a different heart to it. The Lord created the evergreen tree. The Lord created all of this stuff. This is His. And I bring this into the house to honor Him because I went through a period of time where we did not have a Christmas tree in our house. So I just want to bring to light, really seek the Lord on these matters. You may not be convicted about the holidays at all, and that's totally fine. God takes all of us on our own different journeys, and He'll convict us and bring to light things that we need to work on individually. You may not be holidays, but you may be something else. So God was taking me on this journey, and I just want to share with you that quick little summary of my journey through the holidays and our journey through how God stripped us of something and how he showed us maybe truths, maybe it's just hearsay, but he showed us bits and pieces of this. He saw that my heart was pure, that I genuinely and happily gave this over to him, surrendered Christmas to him, surrendered Easter to him. And he's bringing to light truths. You know, it's like an onion. I know it's so cliche, but it is like an onion. Every layer in our walk with the Lord exposes different things. Ultimately, I genuinely believe that all he wants is just to see that we are willing to sacrifice everything, all that we are, all that we hold dear, anything that might be an idol to us, and surrender it over to him. And I believe that by doing that, it just completely strips us, and it shows him the deep love that we have for him. And that is the journey that he took me on. If the Lord is taking you on a similar journey, I would love to hear about it. I think it is super exciting to see how God leads us all differently. And I hope that some of what I've shared with you maybe has inspired you and encouraged you to really seek the Lord on these matters. And I want to come alongside you and show you that, like, there are other ways. Maybe you are feeling a prompting in your heart that something isn't right, and maybe you just don't know what it is yet. You just can't put your finger on it. So seek the Lord on this. Ask him what he wants to show you and what journey you need to go on specifically. Maybe when someone asked you what your favorite thing about Christmas was, you genuinely could answer the birth of Jesus Christ, and you weren't, tied down to this whole Christmas spirit, which is a whole nother thing. Notice, Christmas spirit. Anyway, so maybe you aren't tied to this Christmas spirit, but that is something that I was. And so I joyfully have surrendered that to him, and now I am joyfully slowly bringing certain aspects back into my home. And we do give gifts to our children. We do give some gifts to a couple friends, really to a couple family members. We like to make cookies. And as a mother, I just really strongly encourage my children just to focus on the reason why we are here, the reason what we're doing here, and to remember, children, don't let this Christmas become an idol to you. And I know that the Lord will take them on their own personal journeys as they become adults. However, it's my goal to just help keep things balanced. So also, we are very involved in the Bible and the story of Jesus's birth and what took place. There's actually a really beautiful book called The Angel Story, and it basically portrays the birth of Jesus Christ through the spiritual eyes. So it's really cool. You can see all different battles that are taking place. Obviously, it is not the Word of God. It is a fictional book. However, it really just, I think, is so neat being able to see that there's a spiritual battle going on. So I highly recommend reading that book. So also, I wanted to share with you today the pecan pie recipe that I modified from our original pecan pie recipe, which calls for Crisco shortening for the pie crust and corn syrup and sugar for the pecan pie filling. So I am substituting the Crisco for pork lard. You can also do butter and pork lard, or you can just do plain butter. I've done all of that. And then I also am substituting the sugar and corn syrup for honey and maple syrup. Now, I have experimented with this recipe a couple times, and I got what I think to be the right ratio between honey and maple syrup, because if it's put out of proportion, it can be really, really sweet. So I wanted to share this recipe with you because we love it, and I hope that you enjoy it too. Pecans are one of my favorite nuts, so pecan pie is just my absolute favorite. So I'm super excited to share that little recipe along with you, and I hope you enjoy. Turn around and look at me. Okay, cool. It's tracking the eye.